Why do we do this to ourselves? Why? Hoping that this might be the noise, but I highly, highly doubt it. You know what's worse than having one project car that's torn apart? Two project cars that are torn apart. Got my Z behind me, the VG30 motor, and then obviously I got my B20 on the engine stand. But I have good news today, because today we got the head back from the machine shop. Finally, that's right. The Honda motor is being thrown back together. Not just being thrown back together, that's probably a poor choice of words. If you aren't familiar with what happened previously, motor was completely torn apart. I sent the head off to the machine shop to have them get a thorough look at it. I even upgraded the cams. So that's the big difference this go around. I've got some Stunt 2 Stage 2 cams in this motor. Apparently they went ahead and resurfaced the bottom of it for me again. This machine shop was way less actually than the last one I went to because they actually specialized in heads. So, but they checked everything out and said everything looked good, so I'm gonna roll with that. We've got a fresh bottom end with new main and rod bearings in it from ACL. So let's get to assembling this motor and get this thing running, because I want to drive my CRX again. I miss this car. Hopefully we don't run into any more issues with this motor either. So knock on wood, cross your fingers, whatever you want to do, say a prayer. Let's put this thing together and get this car running. Okay, so last time I put this motor together, if you guys don't remember, I had a major problem with the dowels going into it. So what I did this time was I went ahead and I ordered some Golden Eagle dowel pins. Worthwhile investment. They're only like 15-20 bucks. You can get them on Amazon too, so like 2-day shipping. Cool beans, right? Got it. Okay, so the stupidest thing happened. Once again, I'm waiting on parts for my stuff, but they finally came in. I somehow misplaced my washers for this motor. No idea where they were, so I had to wait a whole day and a half to get these. I know, it's tragic, the end of the world, right? A day and a half. What will we do? We're going to be installing my Stunt 2 camshafts, Stage 2 cams, going into this head. So a little bit of a spicing up here, and should be fun. Should be fun. Should be good. I'm excited. I'm really excited. Hopefully this takes care of my noise and everything else I got going.
Woke up, told myself to push and never stop. I've been stressed out, watching both these hands around the clock. With my eyes wide, trying to get the panorama shot. Whole world getting blurry to me, answers getting lost. So I watch my back and keep it moving to the front. And remember that the world's yours, do it how you want. You've been waiting here for too long, think it's time for you to move on. Realize that there's real lies in these real times to be strong.
I've been waiting all my life, and it was right before my eyes. Watching all this time slip by, now I realize. You know I've been waiting, 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 waiting. But will you wait for me?
I'm forever grinding, waiting for my time to shine just like a diamond. When life is rough and I ain't with that funny stuff, I use it all as motivation, but it's hard to have the patience. Watching time fly by might be the hardest thing I have to do in life. Frustrated that I ain't where I want to be yet, but I know that I'ma make it if I chase that check. Yes.
Cause I done seen the time go by for too many years now when the stars were aligned. Cause I done seen the time go by. Yeah, I done seen the time go by.
I've been waiting all my life, and it was right before my eyes.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see.
Needless to say, that kicks my ass. If you're doing a B series and an EF CRX chassis, just put the motor in from the bottom. I've done it that way the entire time, and each time I do it, I run into this same problem. It was a nightmare. That's gonna do it for tonight though. I'll come back tomorrow after work again, be here. I gotta knock this thing out this week.
Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you say. Story's over now, I must conclude.
All right, Honda's ready to go. Run through my checklist real quick. We've got battery connected. We have fuel connected. No leaks, no leaks. Oil, check. We got, well, air, check. Oh man. There's nothing more nerve-wracking than starting up a motor after having it completely torn apart. Oil system is primed, spark plugs are in, spark plug wires are in. I think that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and start it, and let's cross our fingers and see what happens here. Before, I'm gonna be honest, I never had an oil pressure sensor in the car, and it's probably very important that I do, but it was a stock factory motor, and I knew it ran, so I didn't really care, and I never touched it. But now that I've gone through and redid the bottom end as well as the head, I'm gonna go ahead and install an oil pressure sensor. Now, the sensor itself is a 150 PSI Pro EFI sensor. It's the same thing from VTEC, AEM, Pro EFI. They're all the same sensor. Let me just say I got a deal on this one from a close friend. So that's what I'm doing right now, and then we will have it running by the end of today, hopefully. So I'm here at the ECU. So I've got my logic ground from my sensor. I've got my B plug from my ECU disconnected, and what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna pin this into the logic ground pin, which should be B2. Unfortunately, my power ground is the same color, so gotta watch out for that. But, yep, I got ECU pin right here, and we're just gonna strip this, crimp it on, and call it a day.
I'm the top shit. Bought a two-seater, it's a Beamer, more than 100 racks. VV's Aquafina, I be iced, I don't ever cap. First name deal, I got my bag, yeah, we automatic. Ice cream reefer, hold it up, yeah, we feeling gas.
Alright, so I've got my oil pressure sensor wired in. I moved the car outside, and I kind of wired this in and forgot to show you guys. Basically, there's analog inputs on the ECU, which I'll show you right here. This is a Hondata S300 board. There are analog inputs right here, and as you can see, I don't actually have the connector, but I did have the correct pins that would fit over it. And what I'm gonna do is just lay the wire in, set it like that, put this right on top, clamp that down, and it's good to go. It is also just an analog wire, So there's that as well. So I'm just gonna tighten this back up, and then we'll have a working oil pressure sensor. So I've got my analog 0 input to the ECU. I've got my logic ground wired into B2, which is this purple wire here, one of the two. And then I have my 5 volt coming off of my TPS sensor. So with that, we'll have a working oil pressure sensor. Cheers.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Hell yeah! Honda's running. We fixed the squealing noise. I feel like an idiot. I am an idiot. No, look, stuff happens. Nobody's perfect, but I rebuilt the entire motor. We're on a fresh build now, and we've got stunt 2, stage 2 cams in the top end. On the bright side. Downside is I didn't have to do any of that. So the problem was when you swap to this head, there's no PCV system on this head. And what I had done was I had ran a vacuum hose from here to here, right? No big deal. So because I did that, it was sucking too much vacuum from the crankcase. So the noise was actually air passing through all of the oiling system to try to go into the intake. I realize this now because when I had started it, it started up with the noise right away. But then when I turned it off this time, it continued to create that high-pitched sound. At that point in time, I realized immediately that it wasn't actually anything in the rotating assembly of the motor itself. It sounded 110% like it was something in the head or in the bottom end, like metal on metal. I mean, you guys could clearly hear it from the video. But that's what happens once you start modifying stuff like this. This is what comes of it. So all I did for now is allowed the breather port to breathe on the top and blocked off the vacuum nipple on the intake manifold. So that's how we're gonna run it for a while. I got a couple more things to tidy up on it. It runs, right? The Honda's out there. It's running pretty good. I finally got the oil pressure working in it. The oil pressure sensor I had was bad. Go figure. That's part of getting stuff at a very, very discounted price, free. You gotta work with what you got. Anyways, I got a good oil pressure gauge in it now. It's got awesome oil pressure. It's sitting right at 12, 13 PSI oil pressure at idle, which is spot on the money. So I'm gonna get some fuel for that and oil for it. Do an oil flush on it and then put fresh oil in it again, and then we'll be up and going for good. Here we go, first drive. Woo! Got 55 PSI oil pressure. I really got to work on the air fuels. It'll be a work in progress. It's driving pretty good. Sounds like I got my exhaust rubbing again. First drive is a success. So I got my oil pressure. We're maintaining 17 psi at about 1,000 RPMs. It says we're idling about 15 16 air fuels. It's fluctuating quite a bit there, but we'll see what we can do about that. Looks like my IAT is working great again, so that's nice. That wasn't working for the longest time. Hell yeah, we got a bunch of things fixed. It's my air fuels. They're gonna fluctuate a lot because I still have exhaust leaks and whatnot, but this is freaking nice, that's freaking nice, and oil pressure is spot on. This is all great news. First drive was a total success, even though it was only like 2 minutes. I consider it good. Okay guys, so I got the CRX running. It was running pretty good, but one day last week I went out to it to move it and actually drive it to a car meet up the road, and it wouldn't even start. At first it was a dead battery, of course, and then it would crank, but no fuel, no spark, so on and so forth. So what that tells me is it turned out to be the main relay. Now I already have it cleaned up here, just to show you guys what I'm dealing with. This is my main relay, or what's left of it anyways. Not sure, you can see in there the remnants of all the crap and dirt that was in there. It's like straight mud. And it was just full. I don't even know how water got so far up in here, but this is what my main relay looks like. And as you can see, it is just a corroded freaking mess. So with that said, I pulled it apart. I pulled the cap off of it, and I've been testing it, trying to get it to work. But as you can see, it's just a constant crank, no start. So there's not even a fuel pump prime or anything like that. So with that said, I went ahead and ordered a conversion kit to upgrade the fuel pump relay to something from this millennia, not from 1985. So that should be here hopefully tomorrow, and I'll install that, and then we'll get back to the CRX. So a couple days later now, long story short, my main relay never came in. I wanted to get more video for you guys in this one of actually driving the car around, but it is running. It's running great. I'm super happy. Oil pressure's all good. Everything checks out good with it. So thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't already, make sure you do that right now. And we'll catch y'all next time. Peace out.